right. Well, welcome to the first episode of Under the Brim, where we talk about the mindset and motivation of the athlete under the brim. We're digging into the motivation, habits, and behaviors of our college athletes, what it takes to compete and perform at this level. And we are kind of comparing rodeo athletes with what I'm calling our traditional sports athletes, what you think of as college sports. And today I have Rocky Rodriguez, who is on the Sul Ross Rodeo team as a goat tire, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I have Judith Macias here, who is on the women's soccer team. So Judith, why don't you start? You're the veteran here. Tell us a little bit about how long you've been here, how long you've been playing soccer, and a little bit about your role on the soccer team.
Yeah, so I am fifth year because of COVID,
Yay.
but I just started my master's degree in education. I have been playing soccer since I was 4 and been at Sul Ross since 2018.
Okay. And what's your role on the team right now, being a fifth-year student?
Just more of like an upperclassman. We have a couple of others on the team, so just a leadership role is what I would call it. And we have so many young freshmen that have come in, and it kind of feels like we're the new ones because there's so like little of us. But yeah, just leadership and making sure that everybody's staying on track.
Okay. And then do you have a specific position on the soccer team?
So I play midfield and just got moved to forward. So it's kind of forward, right forward, or midfield.
And then what would be like some of the characteristics of that position? What would it be? How would you describe it? Do you need to be faster? Do you need to be more on, tell me a little bit about that position.
I would say mentally you just need to know when to make runs because midfielders always need to pass to the forwards, and just vice versa. We always have to keep moving. So yeah.
Okay. All right. And Rocky, you're a freshman this semester, correct?
No, so I'm actually a transfer student.
Oh, okay.
So I'm
sorry.
Technically in my 5th year too.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm so
because of
sorry. I
COVID.
totally misinterpreted
No,
that.
you're good. Yeah, I went to junior college for 3 years because of COVID. So I ended up staying an extra year because everything was closed down and you couldn't really go tour any schools or anything.
Yeah.
So I stayed a 3rd year, and then I'm in my 5th year.
Okay. Where were you at before Sul Ross?
Frank Phillips College.
Okay.
It's up north of Amarillo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way up there. But but yeah, it was good. I liked it a lot. So.
Okay. And what are you majoring in?
Ag business.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are classes going this semester?
They're pretty good. I mean, they're more laid back than I thought they were going to be.
Okay.
I think I'm taking 15 credits or something this semester, and usually I would only take the minimum, which is 12.
Okay.
So I was kind of nervous about having to take on an extra class with the lab.
Okay.
But it's been pretty laid back.
Okay, but you're still in the bachelor's program then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
So it sounds like both of you sort of almost benefited from the COVID year a little bit. Is that correct?
Yes, which is good because
Yeah.
our season last year wasn't the best. So
Yes.
best circumstances. So.
Yeah. So with rodeo, they gave us they just gave us an extra year. They just counted COVID as it never happened.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I transferred or stayed a 3rd year at junior college and then transferred in as if I would a sophomore. I just kind of took the extra year and was it doesn't really matter. I'll still just get my bachelor's in 5 years and graduate when I want to and get my actual 4 years of eligibility. So.
Okay.
But if I wanted to get my master's, I could technically get a 6th year. But
Okay.
I'm not sure about that yet.
Okay. Can you do that in traditional sports? Get a 6th year?
No, I don't think so, sadly. I think they just give you – I could be wrong, though.
Okay.
I don't know. I may have to look into that.
Would you have stayed for your master's if it hadn't been for that extra year of eligibility?
Honestly, no, because I kind of wanted to start teaching, and I want to be 3rd through 5th grade teacher or teach high school and soccer or volleyball. So I would have gone straight into teaching either in the Austin area or back in Abilene. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm glad that I could stay because I feel like my time here wasn't up.
I understand. There's timing in life, right? You just kind of have that sensation, it's like a sixth sense, right? You know when you're supposed to leave somewhere and when it's time to make that transition. Yeah. I talk about that often. Yeah.
I feel like careers are always. I can always teach whenever. Even next year I can teach, but I'm soccer. It's my last year, and I'd rather finish it.
Okay.
But yeah.
How did you decide to come to Sul Ross?
So we rodeoed in the same region as Sul Ross, and so my old coach at Frank Phillips, her and CJ coach really similarly, and she kind of came down and shadowed him for a while, and she does a lot of things really similar that CJ does, and so she kind of I guess pushed me in the direction, and I met some of the girls and stuff, and they were you should really consider it, and so I just got pushed by my old coach and ended up looking into it and really liked it. So,
yeah. That's one of the reasons that I really wanted to pair up, a rodeo athlete and a traditional athlete because of the similarities and the differences. That's really what I wanted to talk about. And I think that's something that's interesting is that from just a little bit that I know about college rodeo and the different coaches within college rodeo, some coaches are really hands-on and they're actively involved. Would you say that about the program you were at before and the one that you're at now?
Yeah, it's very like structured and like we do things a certain way versus like I know that some other schools just kind of like practice isn't mandatory or
you're kind of on your own.
You don't have to show up if you don't want to versus like I said, like CJ here and my old coach back at Frank, it was definitely like very structured and she had a certain way that she wanted everything done. And our expectations, like her expectations of us were pretty high versus like I said, other coaches sometimes are just like, do whatever you want, but.
Yeah. And I would say probably in your sport, like practice is always mandatory and there are no exceptions, right?
Yeah, we have practice every single day and Sunday's our only day off, which I think is good because the past 4 years that I've been here before he came, it was, practice 5 times a week and then you have Saturday, Sunday off, sometimes 4 times a week. And so he definitely changed that. And it kind of was a bit of a shock to us, but it's better to be prepared and have that continuous practice and make sure that we're doing everything right instead of taking a lot of days off than we would have. But
so I'm curious. So both of you are starting to work with new coaches. Your coach just got here. You're just coming here to a new coach. So what's it like adapting? You've been doing your sport. How long have you been tying goats or rodeoing?
I was like 5.
Yeah, probably. And you said you started when you were that young too, is right?
That's crazy.
So you've been in your sport for a long time. Yeah. So what's it like to come and be at this level and this age? When you're in college, if you're competing at the collegiate level, you're an elite athlete by this point. Mm-hmm. So what's it like to adapt to a new coaching style?
Probably for me, because like within rodeo or whatever, your parents are pretty much your coaches. And so I'd say that the biggest like adaptation that you have to have from just having your parents be your coach to actually having another person that you're supposed to like respect and look up to and I guess just answer to, it's a lot different and you kind of have to rely on the what's the word?
I can't think of one either.
Like how you used to do everything at home, like your routine from home, like your practice routines at home, that really carries over into college because like I said, your coaches aren't necessarily gonna like pester you about like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Like if you don't want to work at it, they're gonna let you just be mediocre.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing, like being successful in college rodeo is like how those routines from home and like the expectations from home are really like what gets you to be successful in college.
Ooh, that's such a great point. That's really about the foundation that you built before you got here. It's not you're not starting fresh when you get here. It's really just adding on more layers to the foundation you've already created.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. Okay.
So with soccer, I guess it is, I'm just going to kind of piggyback what you were saying. Like even when I was little, I don't think that I got into select soccer because it's really big in like Dallas area. That's usually where all the competition is at. Yes, you can play in high school and middle school, but to kind of push yourself to the next level, it's a lot of the select teams and even travel teams at the collegiate level. But I didn't get into that until I think my fifth or sixth grade year. I've always played soccer, but select was a different level, and so once I got into that, they do showcases once you get into high school. I didn't learn about that till I was in high school, so I feel like I was kind of delayed throughout my time and with select and stuff like that. But I mean, even with practices, they really pushed you. Select soccer, I had really great high school coaches who pushed me a lot and made sure that we were going to be at a collegiate level. So whenever I came to Sul Ross, it was different. If anyone says that it's not different from high school, it's completely different. It's so much faster, and I came in like, oh my goodness, I thought I knew everything, and I do not know a lot of stuff. But yeah, just being with the collegiate level, it's been great for skill, all of that stuff, and I enjoyed it.
Do you feel like the collegiate level coach is harder on you, or like she said, a little more hands off, and you have to want it yourself? They're going to be there to like try to push you to the next level, but you have to want it yourself and have to have a foundation already?
Yes, my freshman coach, sophomore, bit of junior year before he left was kind of, if you're not going to put in the work, then that's on you. And he has 10 other players that want your spot, and it's, you're either all in or you just kind of do your own thing. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But he's still there to push you and stuff like that. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you're playing college. You have a choice. And if you don't want to play, then that's on you.
So, Rocky, you mentioned that your parents were your coaches. And, I've been in that role. I have a son that rodeos, and I know what it's like. And we always talked about how you have to wear those two hats, right? You have to walk the line of, okay, right now I'm your coach. When we go in the house, I'll be your mom again, right?
Yeah.
So what were your parents like? Because you said you didn't start select until later. So was that an intentional choice on your parents' part to try to keep it fun for you, or was it?
It was more financially on their part. And so, you always wish I could have started earlier, but that's, my parents. But they were so hard on me, especially my dad, and it bugged me so much. He would scream at me in the stands. My mom, when I was little, told me that if I cry, I'm never playing soccer again.
Gosh.
So since I was 4 till high school, if I cried, I would not hear the end of it. So it was kind of like you either get up after you fall or that's it.
We're done.
Yeah. They were really tough on me, which was really great at the end of the day.
Is that surprising to hear from you? Because I think that's the norm in rodeo, but we don't necessarily think of traditional sports being like that. So is that surprising, Rocky, for you to hear?
Yeah, it's kind of different.
Maybe my mom's just really tough. No, she was my coach when I was little, since I would say probably since I was in like 4th grade. And so if I was crying on the field, she'd be like, okay, someone else go in for her. And so it was like you either, toughen up or you're not going to play.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So did they push you to was it always an expectation that you were going to be a collegiate soccer player, or?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom, she really started looking into college whenever I was in high school. I think my sophomore year, just from select coaches, they started giving them more information about that, and then that's how I started to figure out about that stuff. But they got me into, I think it was like a portal thing where you can reach out to coaches online, and I think I had a few in mind. I just ultimately didn't want to stay in Abilene. I was like, I need to get out, and then I came to Alpine.
Yeah.
I would say that's kind of crazy because I'm from Prescott, Arizona, and that's 12 hours away. And so when you say get away from home, I'm like you're less than half a day's drive home.
I know.
If you wanted to just turn around and go and come back, you'd be fine. It wouldn't take you a full 2 days.
I know.
Yeah. I love your perspective, because when I went to college, I remember thinking, okay, I need to be more than 2 hours from my parents so they can't just drop by. And so it's totally different from you still,
yeah.
right? I thought 2 hours was a big distance, and that was before I had anything to do with rodeo, and I realized that hours were just a normal part, day-long drives were just a normal part of life.
Yeah, it's just normal for us now.
So how hard were your parents in the rodeo arena and practicing, again, being your coaches? You didn't have, in rodeo, there's no other coaches. There's not a Little League coach or a junior high coach.
Yeah. So my mom, I feel like she was more strict in practice. And then once we actually got there, she was like, okay, it's up to you.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's definitely different, obviously, because if you mess up a play, say in soccer, you have another one. And you can fix it on that one. But for us, it's either good on your first try or you're done till the next weekend.
Oh, I didn't think about that. But that is, we have a lot of opportunities that's one of our things, our coaches, if you lose the ball, you have 6 seconds to run back and try and get it back.
Yeah.
And so
and I'd say that's probably the, biggest difference, mentally, too, is that, if we mess up, we have to live with it until we get a chance, at the next rodeo to fix it. And so that's, like I said, kind of mentally, when I played basketball, it was a lot easier to, pick myself up and be okay, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to go make it right now.
Yeah.
Versus having to be okay, just don't think about it, just pretend it never happened, and just be stronger the next time you get the chance.
Yeah.
Like she said, in 6 seconds on the other end of the court, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well, and then so in soccer, you're in a team sport. So do you ever catch yourself being well, that wasn't my fault, that was really her fault? And if there's a big bad mistake on the court, on the field, you can kind of be okay, we're a team. We rise together and we fall together. But you mess up on a go tying run. It's just you and the animals. So the only other people to blame, the only other person that you can blame it on is an animal. There's no other person, right? There's no teammate. There's no coach.
Yeah, and
they didn't call a bad play. You know,
and that kind of goes back to practice too. Say you make a run, you have to be really mentally strong to say, okay, what do I need to work on this week in practice, which is kind of where it's different. Like you can kind of pick and choose what, like in practice, what you want to do or what you need to work on and stuff. So I'd say that's like really hard too, to be able to like not to let the emotions get in the way and just say, okay, like fundamentally, what was my weakest point in that run, and what can I do this week to make it stronger and fix it for next time.
So what made y'all want to play the sport that you play? Like, what made you want to play soccer? What made you want to tie goats?
I go first. I love the, I guess, culture of every team that I've been on. It's always been great, and the girls, I think the relationships that you build in soccer they can last forever. And so that was one of the main things is, you know, I'm on a team that is going to support me, and you win together, you lose together, and you can't blame it on just one person all the time, because either way it takes from the person at the top with the forwards to bring it all the way back. And if someone else scores, you know, you can't just blame one person. So I that's what I like about it.
Okay.
I kind of just got into it because my family we kind of grew up doing it and being around it. And I don't know, it just kind of clicked, I guess.
And I'm mainly talking to you as a good tire because I want to talk to one person that, you know, from each of the rodeo events. But do you do other rodeo events?
No.
Okay.
Nope, I just tie goats.
Okay, I didn't want to ignore other events if you did them, or
good.
like, you know, pretend like, oh, you're just a goat tire. You know, like I didn't want to pigeonhole you if
you're
I'm
good.
speaking incorrectly. So then that's kind of what you started, but now what kept you going? Like on the days when it's hard and when you don't like your teammates and when you don't like your parents and when it's cold outside and when you like feel bad and you're like, oh, this sucks, I don't want to do it anymore. What keeps you going?
I would say the feeling of running, touching a ball, scoring, and kind of lost my thought process on that.
Well, I would probably agree with kind of what you said earlier, like the culture of it. Like you go to a rodeo and all of the other families and all of the other kids that are there with you, even though we're not necessarily like on a team together, it's just kind of like the culture of it. And like, I guess not necessarily like the social aspect, but kind of the social aspect.
For me, now that I think about it, it's like I've been playing the sport for so long. So to just give it up or not continue would just break my heart. So I just keep going because ultimately at the end of the day, like I am playing college and I want a ring. So I'm going to keep going until I get a ring.
And I kind of add on that too. Like I did start to get sick of it. Like, I don't know, like junior year of high school probably. And then like shortly after that, I ended up hurting my knee and I was out for like almost a year. And so I guess it was my senior year actually. It was January of my senior year. And so I was just kind of like, like it's all right. Like I haven't really done that great up to this point. And then once I hurt my knee and I was pretty much told that I couldn't, I was like, oh wow, that makes me want it like even more. Like it makes me want to get back out there even more. Like I didn't think that I was going to miss it as much as I did. And I think that's what really made me come back stronger than I was before. Like really like with a vengeance, like wanting it.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to have those like in your face moments, right?
Yeah, and it was like super devastating for me. But like I said, it just made me come back even stronger and realize that I actually do love the sport and that a bad day in practice is better than a good day not doing it. So.
Oh, I like that. A bad day in practice is better than a good day not
Quote
doing
that.
it. That is
on the
intense.
podcast.
Yeah.
I used
to show notes.
I used to think about that all the time. I'm just like, really though, like I'd rather be at practice than anywhere else.
Yeah.
So that was kind of your wake up moment to realize, okay, I want to take this seriously and I want to take it to the next level and I want to be the best. So do you feel like that going into this season, because this is kind of your bonus season, right? Like you shouldn't have this season and here you are with this bonus season. Do you feel a little bit more intensity and maybe even more pressure this semester to perform?
Yes, because again, last season we only had 11 girls to start out with.
I felt so bad for y'all last season.
Let me just say the minimum you can have, or the maximum that you can have on the field. The minimum's 9, which we have played 9 before.
Which means you have 0 rest for anybody that isn't familiar with soccer. It means you literally don't stop playing the whole game.
90 minutes on a field. And you're running, you walk a little bit, run, no subs at all.
She wants to make sure everybody understands that. Like 90 minutes of straight running. Sprint intervals for 90 minutes, right?
Versus mine's like 6 seconds. Hopefully 6 seconds.
Yeah, I feel a lot of pressure, but I also want to make it known, like, to our freshmen, like, this is, for us, we just want to let them know, like, your season can be taken away at any point. We had little people on our team. We were playing, and that really brought the whole team closer together because we can't have any subs. I think we had probably 3 subs by the end of the season. But I'm like, you really learned how to push each other and play for each other and push yourself because there's no one that can go in for you. You're just by yourself on a field with other girls as well, but it's really challenging mentally and physically. And so the pressure's on, and we are really hungry to go back and get wins because we lost almost all our games by little goals, and also with teams who are subbing in a whole other team or their second, third string, fourth string, and we're just on the field like, that must be nice. So yes, pressure.
So you still came back to a team that had a pretty defeating season. Mm-hmm. You knew coming back, like, we had a really terrible season, and that didn't deter you to come back and compete for them again?
Say that again, sorry.
Like, it didn't deter you to come back and compete for a team that had a terrible season that lost? Like, you weren't like, oh, I got to go find a school that has a better winning record.
No, I mean, you can maybe think that in the back of your mind, but at the end of the day, we've been with each other for so long, since most of our freshman year and some of the sophomore that came in. So we have that, what do you call it?
Like a bond.
Chemistry, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot of chemistry with each other, and I think to go to another team would just, you would lose a lot of people, and it's hard to try and find that with
because that doesn't happen instantly.
Yeah, other teams. So I think we all just wanted to stick together, and we were really we're really good on the field. It just, at the end of the day, we didn't have any subs, and we're tired. Yeah. Like, we were drained. But the chemistry is definitely growing with our new team, and you can tell that our first game playing, we didn't even know each other's names. We were just like, hey, hey.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Does that make you want to play a team sport, or you're like, oh, I don't have any of that, you know?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of different because, I mean, rodeo, technically we are an individual sport, but we do still have a team. So, like, we practice as a team, but we compete individually.
Well, and that's unique, too, because, I mean, high school rodeo, technically, like, in Texas, at least, you're in regions. Mm-hmm. You're from Arizona, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have regions in Arizona?
No, okay, it's just
so,
a state.
Yeah, so you don't even have that. So coming into college is your first team rodeo experience, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So do you feel a team dynamic? Do you feel like you're part of something?
I would say yes. Like I said, at my old school, my coach, she really, like, had everything structured. And so we definitely practice as a team, like, doing, like, relays against each other, like, competitive, like, what's the word? Just getting, like, better competitive practice in. Because, you know, like, when you're making a goat run, you can't look next to you and say, oh, am I beating her or no? So, like, doing relays and doing matches and stuff and just trying to get, like, having teammates to push you and make you better was definitely, like, a team dynamic. And it's the same here. I mean, and every year it changes. Like you said, you get different girls in, and then the dynamic kind of changes, you know, from, like, who's in the leadership role and who's the most encouraging and who, like, gets down on themselves easily that we have to help pick up. And
who are the gossip girls and the mean girls.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's definitely, like, still a team dynamic, I'd say, because we do practice together, like I said. And it's kind of crazy how a really great teammate, even though we are an individual sport, how a really great teammate in practice can make you so much better, and how, like, a not great teammate can kind of pull you down as well. So it's pretty similar, I'd say.
Yeah, I was watching a special about an Olympic swimmer and how it was 2 females, and a female moved across the country to swim with another female. And one was older, like mom age, and one was a young teenager, but they moved across the country to swim together just because they knew that they'd cause each other to be better, even though they were, like, drastically different places in life, just for the challenge.
Yeah, and that's kind of the crazy part too, is that, like, rodeo teams, if you look at, like, their certain sports, so say, like, Clarendon College, they have a lot of good bronc riders, and they just continue to produce, like, some of the best ones that there are in the region, and it just, like, the good keeps getting better. And, like, the kids that want to be great go there, and they just continue to build themselves, like, build each other up and get better and better.
So the cream is rising and it's attracting more.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy, like, and that's kind of different too, because rodeo has so many different, like, events. And so each school is kind of different in what their, like, specialty is or what their coach is, like, specific in. And so, yeah, it just kind of, like depending on the kids that you have. If they're super good and you get another young kid in there, they're going to be really good too.
Yeah. So do y'all cheer for each other? So even if you're competing against, like there's more than one goat tire for Sul Ross State University.
Yeah.
So you're competing against each other for the same buckle, the same check, the same money, the same prizes, the same year end, the same qualifications.
Yeah.
Do you still cheer for each other?
Yeah. And so that's the other crazy part too, is that like her name's Hannah. She's on our rodeo team. And all three of us goat tires are currently sharing Hannah's horse. And so that's kind of the crazy part too, is that like my horse came up sore on me, like literally 15 minutes before I was supposed to run in Portales. And I called her and was just like, I knew that she would let me. I called her and was like, hey, like I am in a pickle. Like I need your goat horse right now. Like, can I please ride him? She's like, yeah, of course. Like brought him to me, saddled him, ran him. Like just no big deal. And so, yeah, we definitely support each other and cheer each other on in that aspect too, and do whatever we can for each other to help. So.
Yeah, I've always been curious if other sports would be that way with each other. I know we got approached about a reality TV show for rodeo families, and we were like, no, we share horses and we share ropes and we video for each other and we feed each other, and we like take care of each other and
keep an eye on them, make sure they don't run off. Yeah.
And there was not enough drama, so they didn't pick us up for the show.
Like, what?
Y'all were a healthy family.
We were not dance moms for sure, right?
It's not like cutthroat.
Yeah, no, it was not.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So y'all are both in season right now. You just had your first rodeo. Where are y'all at? How many games have y'all played this season in soccer?
We have played 5, 4 counted towards our record.
Okay, so
actually 6.
Okay.
I believe, yeah. 6.
Okay, so still beginning early in the season. How many do y'all play total?
18.
Okay, and y'all have 5 in the fall?
Yeah, 5 in the fall and 5 in the spring.
Okay, so how are you feeling about, like, what's the momentum and the energy feeling like right now at this point in your season?
Oh, we are ready. We have,
She's like, we are lit.
Yeah, we are. The freshmen make it so fun, and they know the expectations, so they really try and push the positivity and the encouragement, even on the bench and on the field if we score a goal. But we start our conference next week, so they are going to Oklahoma. I sadly can't make it because I'm going to my best friend's wedding that I've been friends with since elementary school.
Wait, so in college rodeo, are you allowed to miss for stuff like that? Is that allowed?
For soccer?
Yeah, sorry. sorry.
As long, so I hate missing games. I never, ever, ever have really missed a game. If it's not in season, then yes. If it's in season, I would be like, I'm sorry, I can't make the wedding. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's up to the coach, really.
Okay, so this is a non-conference game.
Yes, it's a non-conference. We start our conference next week, so we are ready to get going.
Okay.
And our energy is pretty high right now.
Okay.
So yes.
Yeah,
I would say same for us. Like we've been practicing, I don't know, for a month, maybe more than that, since we've been in school and stuff, and so we've just been raring to go. Like we've been ready, we've been excited, we've been working hard, and just ready to get out there and show everyone.
Yeah, I think we want to make it known too that we have 29 girls now, and we're like, you don't have to watch us lose anymore. We're out for the wins. Like, we want the wins, so come watch us.
Well, and I know that's a big deal for rodeo too. Like the rodeo program at Sul Ross has gone from like 7 kids at one point to now we have like almost 50, right? Yeah. So same, both are growing programs. So I think it's really interesting again to bring y'all in and talk together, because you're kind of in unique, like really similar situations despite being such different sports. So y'all are both in good places right now, early in the season, feeling the momentum, feeling the high, feeling the good vibes, feeling like there's a lot of potential building. It's like this little energy surging, right? So how do you keep that going all season long? What do you do to get ready for the very next thing? And then how do you keep that like thinking forward to the entire season? Like, kind of what's your mental approach to like maintaining this for the season?
Do you want to go?
Yeah, obviously, I would probably just say, I know for me personally, like in order to maintain the energy and the consistency, I guess, is just to, I don't know, keep working and try to stay healthy too. We have a lot of rodeos this fall that are almost like back to back, or we're only home for 3 or 4 days, and then we got to leave again and drive and stuff. So I'd say that's the biggest thing for us, is just to stay healthy. I know that really like applies to some of our rough stock guys and stuff too, like keeping our bodies feeling good, making sure that we're eating good when we're on the road, and just keep working at the little stuff.
I think it's so cool to hear a rodeo athlete say that, because those are not things that you used to ever hear about in rodeo.
Yeah,
right?
no,
like, no one cared
rough.
about like their nutrition or their fitness in the past ever.
Yeah, and it's rough, because like we're responsible for ourselves, so like we have to go and like find food and try not to eat too much gas station food or get tired while you're driving all the way home at night and want to grab a bag of candy and
16 energy drinks.
Yeah, just to try to stay awake and so.
Yeah.
I definitely felt it this week. We had been, we eat at the house a lot, and I make dinner a lot, and so having gas station food and concession stand food for 4 days, I was like, okay, I'm ready.
You can tell the difference on your body, right?
Yeah, and I definitely feel a difference since that week. So
So is there any do you have a game plan for this season? Are you okay, this is my strategy for the season. I know what I have to do. I need to practice X amount of times. I need to place at this many rodeos. Did you start the season with did you write down goals? Did you do anything?
Yeah, so I had written some goals. I definitely wanted to try to make all 10 short rounds. I've been really close a lot of times, so I really felt like there was no reason that I couldn't. And then again at Portales, I was one hole out of making the short round. So like I said, really, really close. And it came down to a 1/10 of a second on, like I said, a horse that I had borrowed right before I ran.
Yeah.
So it was kind of hard because I was proud of myself because I kind of overcame, not being on my own horse and kind of having to be frazzled right before and oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And so I guess that's the mental part too, is that part of me is super proud, oh my gosh, you did good, you've never ridden this horse before, you kind of executed your game plan, you did what you needed to do. But then the other part of me is if I would have just tried 1% harder, or if I would have ran 1% harder into my goat, or if I would have ridden that horse 1% better, I could have been right there. So we wrote down goals and stuff, and I guess that's just kind of my game plan. Just try to stay feeling good and just be consistent.
So what did you take away more from Portales? Was it the regret of 1/10 of a second, or was it the success of overcoming an obstacle and still being that close?
Probably the regret of not putting in that extra 1%, because that's kind of what I struggled with even in this last spring too, is that I would be just a couple of holes out, which they take top 10 back. So I'd be 12 or I'd be 13, and I'd have to sit and wait and see if I was going to make it. Yeah, and I'd be number 8 going into the last round, and there's 15 girls to go, and I have to sit and cross my fingers and cross my toes and be okay, I want everyone else to do good too, but let's see if I can I can squeeze in there,
and just sink further and further into your seat every time you get bumped a hole. Yeah.
And so and I guess every time that it's happened to me, it's just made not necessarily that regret, but I guess that want even stronger. And like I said, it's kind of hard because you have to go you only get one shot. And so you have to be at 100% your first time. You don't get to really warm up to it. Be oh, okay, that one was a little bit slow. I'm going to try again and go faster. You have to be full blown on your first try. So I guess that's my biggest takeaway, is that I need to just go for it and quit just, I guess, being nervous or letting any fear or letting any hesitations happen, and just say, okay, I'm going for it. And if it works out, it's going to be awesome. And if not, then at least I tried my hardest. So
no do-overs. You got to put it all on the line.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about you? Did you write down goals before the season? Did you have a game plan going in before you played the first match, or?
I always get really nervous before playing a game. So I think one of my goals was to just try and relax, because I've been playing this game for X amount of years.
Yeah,
and
your whole
so
life.
I'm I've known this. I don't need to overthink it. You just need to play your game and go out there. One of my goals too is just, I don't want a bitter taste in my mouth of losing. And so our coach always says you don't want that taste in your mouth. If you want to win, you have to work hard in practice to get that bitter taste out of your mouth, because we had that taste was with us for so long after losing almost the whole season and only winning one game. So our goal was to push forward, make sure we're doing everything we can in practice, and even if games didn't turn out the way we want, we look over mistakes, and so in practice, that's how we fix everything. We do drills over and over and over again. He makes a sprint. We're tired, but it's going to pay off. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So letting go of that those mental things that are holding you back, right? It's both of you kind of described that, of that mindset of what's holding you back.
Which really gets to me in games, because my nerves can get so high, and I don't think that helps whenever I take pre-workout. Because I don't ever want to be tired. I played a game exhausted, especially since we're on a bus for so long, and getting off of the bus and trying to warm up, your legs feel heavy and you're tired. And so I've definitely took a pre-workout scoop, and with the nerves and the pre-workout, you're just on like 110 or more. Yeah. So I just try and calm my nerves down before I play a game, so I'm not bouncing off the walls and doing little mistakes that could have been fixed easily.
So do you have a routine that you do or anything specific to help you calm down?
Yes, I do. I listen to, it's a Messy podcast off of Spotify, and it just kind of talks about his life and just pushes you the words just to be better. And, if you want to be the best, then you need to play the best and think the best, like you're the best. So that's what I listen to every game day before a game. I just kind of zone into that, listen to about one or two, and that usually helps me calm down. And then like I don't need to worry about anything else or anybody else, just my game. So yes.
Nice. Do you do anything to help you with your mindset before you go?
Probably just visualize and slow my heart rate, because like sometimes I can feel like my heart beating out of my chest. And so like for rodeo, I mean, it's a timed event, and so if my heart gets beating too fast, my hands get shaky, and then I tend to like have speed jams or like bobbles, or like my hands just aren't as calm and smooth as they need to be. So I like just visualize my run, be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I also make a game plan too. Like usually I like to watch the girls that are before me, or watch from the stands and stuff, and be like, okay, like this is what I'm noticing a lot of girls are messing up on. Like this is my game plan. So like say for Portales, there was a pretty long alley that we had to go down before we actually got into the arena. And then it was a 125-foot score, which standard is 100. Yeah. So it was a bit longer down there, and we had a long alley. So I had made the game plan like, okay, I'm going to wait until I get like actually in the arena, like through the arena gate, before I ask my horse to go, because some of those horses were firing at the back of the alley. But then by the time they're to the starting line, they're already like, okay, like that's everything that I have.
That's our normal distance that we run. Yeah.
So it's like trying to make a game plan and just execute my game plan and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Like I'm going to wait till here, then I'm going to ride, then I'm just going to be smooth on the ground. So to
make a point on that, I never watch my opponents.
Okay.
That's like a no in soccer. Maybe for other people, I don't know. But like, I just can't look at them, because then I'm like, I just get nervous, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is she doing? Maybe I can do that too. So I just try to focus on like, what do you need to do? How are you going to run? How are you going to take the ball? How are you going to touch it? And if I look at them, I'm like, oh, maybe I can switch this and that. So I just can't think like that. Yeah.
Well, so that was actually what I was going to ask y'all is, do you ever get mid-competition and change your game plan? Like I was talking to another rodeo athlete about this weekend, and they were doing a 3-round event, and by the third round, they felt like they needed to speed up in order to win. But by the third round, when they finally went, really all they needed to do was catch. But they missed because they changed their game plan and were trying to go fast. So do you ever change your game plan based on what other people are doing? Do you get out there and in mid-competition realize like, oh, I'm going to change my game plan? Like, so you had the game plan, okay, I'm going to not lope until I get into the alley, but then you get there and you're like, okay, no, I'm going to go for it. Do you change your mind? Or you get out there and you see, oh, they're really bigger or they're faster. I need to do something different. Do you ever change your mind based on the situation? When if you would have stuck with your original game plan, it usually works out better.
Yeah, I do that in games when I'm in the game. So after I've played for a couple of minutes, I kind of get a feel for what's going on and kind of change it off of just any position that I'm at. But other than that, before the game, I do visualize, like, this is what I'm going to do. Maybe this is how I'm going to make a cross. But in the game, it could change in, like, seconds. So it's...
So definitely different for you. You have to adjust to the flow of the game and the entire, your team and the opponent.
Yes, and it's kind of hard, too, because we tried to not play their game, which is something we get told a lot, like play your game, don't play a game that they're playing, because the other team can play kick, we call it kickball, where they just keep they're not getting possession of the ball, they just keep kicking it out, and sometimes if we constantly see that, that's something that our team tends to do, is we might do that. And so it's always you need to play your game, and then they need to adjust to it, not us.
That's the exact same in rodeo. We always say that, like, like obviously different girls have different strengths and stuff.
Yeah.
And so you just need to make your best run on like the best stock that you have, which is also a big difference in versus traditional sports, is that we always say it's like a drawing contest. So you could get a goat that stands there and says "tie me" and literally lets you just blast him, or you could get one that like has gotten up on every single person before you, and you have to adjust your game plan, like you had kind of said. So like. I change my game plan. Usually sometimes I change my game plan. It just kind of depends. But usually when I'm riding in the arena, I pretty much have it good to go. But like I said, it can change all the way up until I get down there. Like the girl before me. Yeah, because I've had a couple situations like this spring where the girl before me on the same goat that I'm going to have, he gets up on her. So then I have to go, okay, do I need to safety up and try to put one more on him and keep him down? Or am I just going to go for it and whatever happens, happens? So like that happened to me at Odessa, and I decided to put an extra wrap, which takes you like an extra, I don't know, probably 0.2 of a second maybe. And that happened to me at Odessa, and I said, okay, well, I'm just going to put 3 wraps, and like I'm just going to go so fast that it's not even going to, that losing that 0.2 isn't going to matter. Mm-hmm. And it actually worked out for me, and I made it back to the short round. And so it's just kind of like, I don't know, like a split second almost, like you're riding in the gate and you said, oh, okay, like this is the new game plan and we're going to do it. Like, but
yeah, you remind me of that scene in Top Gun where he's like, you don't have time to think up there, you know?
Yeah, and like, really, like, you have to react like
it's so instinctual.
Split second, yeah. And like our sport's so fast too, is that like you don't have time to think. And so that's why you try to, I read this book one time and it was talking about how you practice consciously so that you can react subconsciously. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's rodeo like to a T. Like you have to practice consciously so much, like I'm going to do this every single time in practice. That way when it comes to competition and you can't think, it just happens naturally.
Okay. So what happens if the next time you enter, the next time you compete, doesn't go according to game plan? It doesn't align with your goals that you set out for this semester. And maybe you've had this in the past, or you've had bad, like a bad performance or a bad, game or a bad match or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, how's your mindset then, and what do you do? How long do you let yourself stay there? And then how do you respond to that? How do you get ready for the next time after that?
I kind of give myself a day or two. I've had a game not go so great for me and got subbed out and was like, why? What am I doing wrong? Which I think I'm doing good, but my touches are trash. And he just calls me out on it, and it kind of gets to me, but I kind of just let myself think like, why am I not making good touches? What's the reason? And it could be that I'm thinking too much in a game, and I'm thinking about all these different things that I can't focus on what I'm supposed to be doing, or I didn't get enough sleep or rest or enough water in me, that I'm just kind of all over the place, because I have a routine every day that I stay on. And just talking to my coach, because the more information that I get or get off my chest helps me kind of mentally prepare for the next day and next practices and the next game.
Mm-hmm. I'll say I don't know. I wish I was better about letting it roll off easier. It kind of just depends on like the setup though, because I mean with rodeo you could have a jackpot that's 2 rounds and you're going to run them like pretty much back to back. So you only get 15 minutes say between your 2 runs. So you only get like barely any time to get over your last one and make your new game plan and go out and execute it. But versus like our actual college rodeos, you get 1 run for the weekend, and then if you're in top 10 you get another one. So that's a lot harder to get over, because you just, I don't know, I feel like I harp on it a lot more because I'm like, I came all this way.
And you only have 10 chances total in the entire season. So.
Yeah. So it's definitely harder. And like I said, I wish that I let it roll off a little bit easier. But I'd say probably a day. Like I said, I was pretty upset last weekend. And so I kind of gave myself a day. And then I was like, okay, like I said, back to the drawing board. What in my run did I need to execute better? And what do I need to do in practice to, say, make it not 1/10 of a second out?
Yeah.
I think it's a little more difficult, too, for soccer players, because time can vary on, when your coach is going to take you out or not. Mm-hmm. But if you do make a mistake, or you've been making mistakes the whole game, it's like you have so much time to fix it and you didn't. Mm-hmm. And so I can also think on that, like for a couple days, like I had so much time, I am a starter, keep messing up, and why didn't I fix it in this amount of time, and now the game's over and I can't play that game again. Yeah. So, yeah, you have 1 run. It's also like we have so much time to fix stuff, and sometimes you just don't, and then it can just stay in your mind, and you're just like, wow, why did I do that? But,
yeah. So one of the things that I thought was similar about your sports in soccer and in goat tying is that it's fast and it requires a lot of agility. So with the speed of things, even though your game is 90 minutes long, like in the actual play itself, it's things are moving and happening very quickly, and trying to keep up with who has the ball, and am I about to collide with someone, and same thing, like, is my horse going the right direction, is the goat moving, like, what's happening? So do you have time, and you kind of addressed this a little bit, but do you have thoughts going through your head as you're doing that? Is like, do you have like an inner dialogue? You know, there's kind of that debate of people, do they have inner dialogue or not? So do you have an inner dialogue going on, and what's happening in your head when that, in the middle of like a high intensity, like when you're making a run or like a key play in the game, do you have inner dialogue going on, and what are you saying to yourself?
So we always try to say in soccer, always think of what you're going to do next, because you can't make a decision when you have the ball and wait even 3 seconds, because someone else can just come and either knock you over, steal the ball, and then they'll make a goal, or just vice versa. But yeah, it's always, whenever I get the ball, you have to know where you're going to go next, even if it's just running forward and then you're going to pass it, or just giving it off and then making it run, because things go so fast. You have so many things that you can do, so it's always, you always have to know what you're going to do next. But yeah,
I was like, I probably have like 2 points of thought. First one is like when I'm going in the arena and I'm getting ready to go, and then the second one's probably when I hit the ground. And so that's when I'm like, okay, where's my goat at? Where do I need to cut to? And that's pretty much the only time, I guess, in my actual run that I'm thinking, I guess, like consciously, like, okay, I need to go that direction. Like, come on, get over there. And then, yeah, like I said, just when I ride in the arena. So.
Okay. So you talk about things moving fast, and you talk about points of contact. And so you've talked about like practicing with the coach in the arena and making goat tying runs, and you've talked about working with your coach, but how much time do you actually spend on the like agility, the fitness part of it, the conditioning, aside from just actually practicing your actual event and sport? Like, besides just practicing soccer and just practicing goat tying, do you do other work besides that?
I'll let you go.
Okay, I was going to say, so they've actually come out with this really cool, like, goat tying specific training program.
Okay.
And her name's Carly Green. I've been doing it since probably midsummer, beginning of the summer. And she has a specific program for goat tying athletes.
Okay.
And so we do that 5 days a week. Fridays, kind of depending on if we have a rodeo that weekend, we'll do some lighter stuff. And then if you don't, you can kind of hammer it hard on Fridays. But we do that 5 days a week, including practice. So
what kind of workouts are they?
There are a lot of like agility and sprint form stuff, because when you're getting off your horse at a dead run, you want to try to get your sprint form as good as possible. That way you can get off as fast as possible. So like I said, it's a lot of sprint form stuff, a lot of core strength. That way you have control of your body and like body control movement type stuff. So,
So it's like an app or an online program or something?
Yeah, so it's like she has like a Facebook group for it, and she FaceTimes or not FaceTimes, she Zoom calls. Okay. And so it's like pretty much like a live session. So she does live sessions.
Oh, okay.
And then anyone across the country can like log on to the Zoom and have like one-on-one like training. And then like if you can't make, say, like that specific live stream time or whatever, she records them and posts them in the Facebook group. That way you can go back and just watch the recording and do the workout from there.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's been really, really good for goat tying. Like, it's growing a lot, and I know that she's been really working hard at it.
So during practice, we have a lot of just sprints that we're doing, obviously in small games and stuff like that. Outside of that, we do have morning sessions that can be with our strength and conditioning coach, and our coach is not always there all the time. So it's either you show up or he's going to let them know that you're not there. And we focus on agility, cone work, sprinting, turning, because we do a lot of that in the game. And then on top of that, we do full field runs sometimes, which are very exhausting, and suicides. But that's it. A lot of stretching and ice baths before game day, just to make sure that we're getting recovery in. And I think that's about it.
And the strength and conditioning coach is new for y'all, so
yes.
Do you think that's going to make a big difference for your season?
I think it is, because a lot of the girls aren't used to, I guess, faster pace in the game and also endurance. So that really helps that we're doing endurance in the morning and agility, and then we have our specific training session that we have to do, which is almost, I think it's like an hour and a half or 2.
And again, a very distinct difference between the two sports, that in college, soccer is an NCAA sport, and so you get support from athletic the athletic program. So you get athletic training, and you get strength and conditioning, and you get your coach, and you get your travel, and you get they put you on a bus and they take you where you need to go.
Yeah.
Do they feed y'all when you travel?
They do.
Yeah. So as a rodeo athlete, you get none of that.
Yeah.
Which shocks me. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
And it's kind of been something that we've been trying to work with the school on, is that like the sports teams get like reserved hours in the weight room, and we aren't allowed to go in during that time. So like if we want to go work out in the mornings, if football or baseball has it, we aren't allowed to. And so we've kind of built like almost our own little kind of weight room area at the arena, to where if we need somewhere that we want to go work out and stuff, we are able to do that. But yeah, it is definitely very different.
Yeah. So you don't, because of the money aspect of rodeo, you are considered a club instead of a sport. And so you are required to transport yourself to your own events. You also have to transport your own animals and feed your own animals. The college doesn't pay for that.
Nope.
And you have to pay for all your own meals while you're on the road. The college doesn't pay for any of that either.
Nope.
And so if you are having a 7-hour drive to get to your competition, you can't just climb on a bus and sleep or watch YouTube videos. You're actually having to,
you have to drive.
Which is where we were talking about the energy drinks earlier. So you get to, I laugh when I hear the like football players came into my class the other day and they were like, oh my God, that bus ride was so hard. And I'm like, okay, try to stay awake for that 7-hour drive by yourself.
I
right?
always knock out. I'm either like after soccer game, we eat and I fall asleep, or I'm just like Netflix and I'm just out.
Yeah. And they like stop at some place to feed you, and they pay for your meal, and you're on your own, and that's why you're hitting up the gas station, because you're like, okay, I got $10 left after paying my entry fees, you know. Here's what I got left,
and
I
like
didn't
I
win
did the
any
same
money.
thing too, though. Like me and my boyfriend travel together, and so usually he drives most of the time, but so I'll sleep. But then it makes me feel bad, because then as soon as I wake up, he's like, okay, your turn. And so I have to go from sleeping to driving the next 3-4 hours.
Yeah, and it's like instant too. You have to go from like dead sound asleep to like, okay, yes, I need some toothpicks, but I can do it, I promise.
Yeah, or you wake up to like hitting the rumble strips and you're like, oh my gosh, are we wrecking? Like, oh wait, no, okay, we're all right. Like, it's fine.
So I know we're kind of running long on time, and I want to be respectful of everybody, but I could keep talking to y'all all day. But one thing I want to do, I have 2 more things that I want to talk about before we end this, is the money aspect. So we just talked about that you're paying for your own fuel, you're paying to feed your horses and care for your horses, and you're paying for your own travel and everything, and your own food. And whereas the university is supporting most of the funding for yours. But Judith, you did mention that like growing up that there was a money limitation for competitive soccer, and that's something that I hadn't think about. I always think about the cost of rodeo because it's so expensive and it dictates so much of your life. So did money play an aspect in like how much you were able to compete, or in when you did compete, if you knew money was a factor, did it like stress you out to feel like, okay, I have to, my parents are paying for this, like I have to really do good?
Yes, it did towards my high school season, just because I had a little bit of a rough patch where I was like, I don't think I want to do soccer anymore. And it was more of the team and just the culture of it. And, you know, you have some drama in high school, and I was kind of like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'd rather just stick to myself. So I told my parents, I think I want to quit. And my mom said, you will never quit a sport in your life. Don't say that. And I'm paying for your select soccer. But they always made it known that, you know, they are paying for something, so we need to finish it and, you know, work our hardest at it. And so, yeah, money was always I wouldn't say an issue, just I'm more mindful of what I can do and what I can't do, because it's not just me. I have an older brother, and I had a little sister who was also doing soccer, and she started at select at a young age, and I was in select at an older age, so they got her in a little before, and so they were paying for 2 things, and trying to balance gas and traveling me and then traveling her. And then my brother, he didn't do sports, he just sticks to the violin, but you also pay for, you know, music lessons and violin, stuff like that. And so that always was a factor into that. Did
it ever factor in like in the actual performance, like when you're on the field? Are you ever thinking about money when you're on the field?
No.
No. That's nice.
Sometimes my dad likes to bribe me, you know, if you score a goal, I'll give you this much. So sometimes I think about it, but I'm like, I can't do that. I can't.
Yeah, I definitely say that in the rodeo aspect, money definitely plays into it a little bit more. Like you said, like while you're performing, because I mean, I'm very mindful of like what I have to pay for and how I need to, get hay for my horses and how I need to have fuel to get home and how I'm going to eat on the road and stuff like that. And so it definitely adds extra pressure when you're competing because you're like, okay, am I about to lose $80 or am I about to win $600? Like,
Yeah.
Like, I really don't want to lose any more than I'm already having to spend. So it does kind of add some extra pressure on there. But I never felt any of that really, like, growing up or anything.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, we definitely weren't, like, a rich family or anything. But I think my mom worked really hard to not make us feel like we were ever missing out. And we didn't get to travel across the country and go to some of the biggest, rodeos that there were. And we would just kind of try to hit the ones that were closer to home and stuff like that. But, and, like, me and my sister, we shared a horse when we were both in high school. So, like, we were able to kind of cut back on things like that way. So
that's awesome. I had a friend when I was younger whose parents would use literally every last dollar that they had to enter him, and they would tell him before he went in to compete, like, hey, if you lose, we don't have any gas money to get home, and we don't have any money to eat dinner tonight.
That would be
so
awful.
You better win.
That's tough.
And so that has just stuck with me so long, and I always worry about athletes with that amount of pressure on them at such a young age.
Well, especially for rodeo, because I'm like, that's just crazy. Y'all are competing for money, and then you have to pay money. I wish that was with soccer.
Do you wish there was money in it, though?
I do. We can all, there's so many people on the team, like, we could pitch in, and if we win a game, we get this amount of money, but it's just, that's never how the game was.
But I could see that going wrong in so many ways, too, right?
Sure, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, there's already so much issue with, like, sports gambling and betting and throwing games.
Yeah.
And that's so crazy, too, because rodeo is literally, like, we're gambling on ourselves. Like, I'm going out there and saying, I bet $80 that I'm going to win, and then if I don't, I give it to the winner. Like, it's just, it's so different. It's so different. But
yeah, it is really crazy. All right, well, I want to finish up. There's so much more that I really want to talk to you about. I wish we could do this forever. So maybe I'll
come back.
I know, maybe we'll
do part two.
We'll do part two because I didn't even get to talk to you about, like, sleep, hydration, recovery, nutrition, all that stuff that I still want to talk about. But my final question that I want to ask you is, okay, we talked about, like, how you prepare and then what you're thinking about during the competition, but it's the end of the game, and I want to know, the end of the competition, do you hate to lose more, or do you love to win more? Which one is more powerful for you? What motivates you more? Is it like, I don't want to lose, or I have to win?
It's I don't want to lose.
I definitely agree with that.
I hate the feeling of losing, and after you lose, it's just, you think of a million things of what your team could have done differently, what you could have done differently, what you could have done the day before, how are you going to fix it, what's your coach going to tell you after this, how's practice going to go. So just, there's a bunch of things running through my head, but I think the biggest one is I hate to lose. I don't like the feeling of, being defeated by a team that you were close to winning to, and coming up short.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like there's a lot more effects when you lose versus there is when you win. So it's a lot harder to not get anything out of it versus to be like, okay, like, I did my job, like I'm good. Like, it's, I don't know, it's a lot harder on me to be like, I didn't do what I was supposed to, versus being like, okay, like, I'm good, like, I did it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I'd much rather. I hate to lose more than I like to win.
So then, do you take the opportunity to celebrate the victories when you do win?
We've gotten so much better at that because we were always scoring from a losing standpoint. So the other team would be up 2-0, and we would score. And our mentality at the time in a game was, okay, we just scored. Just grab the ball so we can make another one because we don't want to lose again. But now, if you'll come to our games, we have a celebration, and it's the whole team on the bench. And so once we make a goal, our whole field or players on the field will celebrate, and we'll go to the line, and everybody will just be cheering, high fives, and that kind of gets us going and pumped up even more, just to get, I guess, the energy and positivity up.
Yeah, I'd say we definitely celebrate our wins, but like I said, it's more individual. So I mean, it's just kind of, coach telling you, like, good job, and then you get to go pick up your check, and you get to walk out of the arena and everyone's like, oh my gosh, like, good job, or you get to listen to the video and you hear everyone cheering for you after you made your run, and I don't know. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely found that with athletes that we spend more time dwelling on the losses than celebrating the victories. So my hope for you is that if we get to do a part 2, that we're talking about your victories and that you have spent some time celebrating them, because I know like college rodeo is coming up. You've got a lot going on this semester and you're just getting into the meat of your season right now. So I want to wish you both the best of luck. And I'm excited for
Thank you so much for having us on.
Thanks for coming and joining me today. Yeah.
It was fun. I feel like we could talk forever.
I know. That was so fascinating. You did a great job. Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're about to head to practice right now.
Yes.
What do you have?
Yeah, we were going to go practice.
Yeah.
We're getting ready for the rodeo this week. So we had practice at 11 this morning, and it's probably kind of still running through. We got to get stock sorted and make sure the arena's good to go. And
is it hectic because the rodeo's here this week?
This week. Yeah. So just been trying to get the arena ready, get the grounds ready, get ready for, oh my gosh, I don't even know how many, 1,000?
Are y'all doing good balancing schoolwork with sports?
That's a little bit of a struggle for me just because I'm only taking 6 hours, but it's grad school and it's actually pretty tough.
And it's all online.
It's all online, and that's not my best way of learning. But my professors are really great. They have been very patient with me and helping me a lot. So I'm like, oh, thank goodness that I don't have to, push back any paperwork or assignments and stuff like that. So
yeah, school's been going good. My hardest, the biggest thing I probably struggle with is trying to fit in work with rodeo and school, because I mean, like we said, we have to pay for our own stuff. So then we're adding work on top of that to try to keep,
so you have
supporting
a job too?
our sport. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how it,
Yep. Yeah. Usually I just work weekends that we're in town, but it's kind of slow right now, obviously, because all of our rodeos are pretty close together. But
and then what about some fun? What about partying?
I've been staying home.
yeah, same.
Yeah, just with soccer season, I guess on the topic of, nutrition and stuff like that, I just water, eating, sleeping, and that's about it, because I do work after soccer, so it's, homework.
You're like a plant.
I do, homework in the morning, and then I have soccer, and then I go to work till 12 or 2 a.m., and then sleep, and it's just all over.
Wait, are you still working at the bar?
Yes.
Okay, so that's ironic, right?
You get paid to hang out.
That's what it is.
At the bar?
Yeah.
So in
no drinking though.
In my intro for the podcast, I actually put like how they're surviving classes, competition, and the Crystal.
Yeah.
How do you make your living? I work at the Crystal Bar.
Yeah.
But I don't drink.
Yeah.
At least not in season.
Yes.
Yeah. But
yeah. Are you liking Alpine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is my second year here, so it's been pretty nice.
Okay.
So yeah, I like it. Small town vibe. Mm-hmm. It has everything we need: class, work, practice. So
perfect. All right. Well, I don't want to keep y'all. I know y'all both have to get stuff done. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah. It flowed really well. I'm proud of us.
I know. I'm not nervous anymore.
I know. I was like, I'm going to say something dumb. And then it's going to